Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni, Ayurvedic MD, registered holistic nutritionist, back today with another interesting topic about your Ayurvedic body mind type, which we call Prakriti. Knowing Prakriti is crucial part of your Ayurvedic journey. There are a few reasons why you need to know the dominant doshas. There are a few reasons why you should take this seriously and not make any mistakes when you are trying to understand your Prakriti. And the reason is that because you're setting the baseline, you're trying to understand your body's baseline. And often what happens is, imbalances that start earlier on in childhood may present as symptoms of a certain dosha, which may be different than your prakriti, right? So I'll be explaining this a little bit more. I just can see a few people see me. Please let me know if you can hear me, because my last session, um, I was live for almost 20 minutes. I could see people seeing me, but nobody was hearing me. And I got to know that after 20 minutes. So, hey, Jasmine, if you can see me live, if you can hear my voice, just please give me a thumbs up and we will discuss more about our Prakriti discussion. Awesome. So, Jasmine can see me. I'm just hoping. Um, on Facebook, somebody can see me and just give me like a thumbs up that you can really hear me, and that's perfect. So, what exactly is Prakriti? Let me start by talking about Prakriti, or your unique Ayurvedic constitution. So, Ayurveda does celebrate the individuality of different people, and this individuality is based by categorizing them into certain groups based on their doshic dominance. So, doshas are the three bioenergies: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Those are formed out of the five elements, and five elements are responsible for forming everything found in this material world. So depending on what is dominant in your body, this is determined at the time of conception, and it is something that will dictate your physical attributes, your emotional attributes, your behaviors, your patterns. It's like your unique blueprint that will govern everything that you do, whether it's your thoughts, your reactions, your actions. And that is the key to understanding your prakriti, or this is your prakriti, right? So at the time of the conception, whether your vata, pitta, kapha, which dosha was the dominant one, which dosha was, expressing itself more, is understood to be the dominant dosha. You can have one or two doshas dominant in your prakriti, or you could be tridoshik as well. The word pra is first, and kruti denotes any kind of action. So prakriti means your first response, how you inherently are, and how you are going to respond to different things, how your body is made up of, right? What is normal for you. So that is your baseline. So when I say that often people get that prakriti wrong, is because they're already in a state of balance and they see that as their normal template, which it's not. So Jasmine says she can see me and hear me on Facebook as well. That's perfect. Yeah. So going back to prakriti, right? So think about a child, who is a very easygoing, carefree child, almost like a chubby child who loves to, be just happy, round face. All babies are round, but this is like a child with a proper round face, button nose, so like a kapha dominant child in the kapha stage as well. And suddenly that child starts developing anxiety, right? So you cannot say that it is the vata nature there. It is actually what's going towards imbalance, it is going towards vikruti. And there could be underlying digestive issues, there could be underlying trauma, there could be a variety of reasons why the normal personality, the normal, characteristics of this child have shifted from being a happy-go-lucky, easygoing, happy child to someone who's having a lot of anxiety, who's having a lot of fear, who's having a lot of digestive issues or other symptoms. So that is the difference between the Prakriti and the Vikruti. So Prakriti is how you inherently are. That is your first response. That is what governs your behaviors, thoughts, actions, and that is a fixed portion of you, that will always, that's the core of you, that will always be there according to Ayurveda. So as an Ayurvedic doctor, how would I determine this Prakriti? So I have a dosha, quiz that I will send to people. And this dosha quiz is a 44-point quiz. So it's not the 10-point quiz, which is on my website. It's a very shorter one. So that's just for general knowledge. But in an actual consultation, we take you through a lot of points where we can understand your Prakriti in depth. And there we will really understand that, okay, this is your dominant dosha, this is the secondary dosha, or this is your tridoshik. So I will take you through several points, and in consultations I will always ask questions about your childhood, how you were as a child, what was your emotional makeup then, what were your likes, dislikes, your hobbies, were you interested in studying, were you interested in creative arts, were you competitive? And that gives us a better frame of understanding how your prakriti has always been, because if the vikruti or imbalances have set in childhood, then we can distinguish between the two. So that is kind of the key, right? So now, going back to the doshas, there are three doshas, as we said: Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata denotes the wind energy, Pitta denotes the sun energy, and Kapha denotes the moon energy. So, a person who is dominant in this wind energy is constantly moving, constantly going about, very fidgety. They won't sit straight, they will have some kind of hair movements, body movements, they will talk a lot. So that is, movement is very natural to a vata, and they're constantly moving. They may have some tics, some kind of quirks where they're fidgeting all the time. So that's vata. They are going to be cold, they're going to have dry skin, frizzy hair. That's very inherently vata, right? And because of the dominance of space and air, these people are also very light when it comes to weight. They're going to be on the skinnier side. They will not have a lot of muscle. Their bone mass density is going to be on the lower side as well. And they will not have a lot of physical strength, right? So they are going to be lean and thin. And they are not someone who will require a lot of efforts to stay thin, because they're expending so much energy by constantly moving, constantly fidgeting, constantly having some kind of an activity. So these are the kind of people who are almost like, wired to just keep going, and they cannot stop. The same thing happens with the mind. And anxious nature is very common to a vata kind of a personality, right? Now again, you have to understand the difference between an anxious type of a personality and a full blown panic attack, right? So a full blown panic attack where there is severe anxiety, severe fear, that could be related to trauma. That could be a sign that even in the vata prakriti, the vata has aggravated to a point where you need some kind of an intervention. So that is what the difference between the Prakriti and Vikruti is. Coming to the second part, we are going to talk about Pitta Dosh. So Pitta Dosh is the energy of the sun, the energy where heat metabolism is the key. And people who have a lot of this fire energy, fiery sun energy in the personality, they're going to be born leaders. They're going to be a little intolerant to other things happening around them. It's like my way or the highway. They're very motivated, they're very hard workers, they're very competitive. They are going to be someone who's going to push too much, push themselves too much to extract the maximum out of them. And they are going to be very, um, how do I say, very like justice oriented, right? So kind of, very intelligent, highly intellectual, have a really good work ethic. So that's very common for a pitta type of a personality, right? So this is because of the fiery energy, this is because of the sattva dominance as well. And when this pitta goes off balance, that can create more heat in the system. So where a person was already having, a nice body temperature, who was always warm, never cold, now you may start feeling hot flashes, you may start having a lot of heat related rashes, you may start getting very angry or super intolerant, very aggressive. So that is pitta aggravation in a pitta type of a personality. Then the third dosha we go to is kapha dosha. So kapha dosha is the dosha where water and earth are dominant. So the people are characterized by having good stability in the body. So they will have a higher bone weight, they will have good muscle mass, they are prone to inertia, so they don't like a lot of physical activity. The vatas are constantly going, pittas are going, but they're very competitive. Kaphas are, happy sitting down. All their hobbies are going to be like reading, maybe watching TV, doing things, but where they don't do a lot of bodily movements, and they are wired to conserve that energy. They have the most stamina, they have the most physical capacity, they look younger than their age. And if you have heard the story of the hare and the tortoise, tortoise is a classical representative of the kapha, where slow and steady wins the race. And a hare is a classical representative of a vata dosh, where a vata dominant person is constantly on the go go go, and then they get exhausted and depleted, right? So this kapha dominance in the personality will ensure that your nutritional status is very good, you're not going to fall sick all the time, you will have a good immunity, you will have a good physical strength, you will have a good resilience where you're springing back from any ailments as well. But if this kapha gets off balance, if you start eating foods that are very dense in kapha, if you start having lots of yogurt, if you start having lots of heavy meats, if you start eating lots of fats, it's going to, for a kapha dominant person, it will aggravate your kapha. And then you are going to feel lethargic, you are going to feel tired, you feel bogged down in your own body, and you will resist movement even more, and it can also lead to various conditions like depression, right? So these are doshas, like single doshas with their aggravations. Now different doshas can also be found, like prakriti can also be found in combinations of doshas. So you could be a dual doshic person, where you could be a vata pitta or a pitta kapha or a vata kapha, or you could have all three doshas in more or less similar proportions, which we call tridoshic personalities. Now, how do we personalize nutrition for each and every dosha? Now, this is a very extensive topic. And if you look at the link on Facebook, you will also find information about my 2-hour Prakriti Masterclass, where I have gone in detail in each aspect of the dosha type. And you can also get notes on what are the best foods for each individual dosha types, right? But I'm going to just talk about a little like shorter version. So for a vata type of a personality, as we discussed, a wind dominant person is not too heavy on the body, they are not very stable, they're constantly moving. So they will need foods that are very grounding in nature, foods that are a little bit more nurturing, nourishing. So if you look at whole foods, whole grains, if you're looking at dense foods like fats, avocados, ghee is fantastic for a vata type of personality, because it's going to nourish all the epithelial membranes, all the mucosal membranes, and it's also going to help with gut healing. So things like ghee, incorporating that on a regular basis for a vata dominant personality is the key. um, Root vegetables are fantastic for a vata dominant personality, because they are going to ground you. They're complex starches which will give you a sustained release of energy. If you stick to simple carbs, you are going to use it and then get depleted very fast. But for somebody who is a vata dominant personality, you need a sustained release of carbohydrates. So complex carbs in the long term are going to be way more beneficial for you. And denser foods, ghee is a denser food, beets, carrots, anything that's nutrient dense is going to be really good for you. One main thing for a vata dominant personality to avoid is, do not go on fasting, right? So whether it's intermittent fasting, unless you are working with a practitioner, do not go on long term fasts, because not having food for a longer term is going to deplete your energy, and it's going to aggravate the vata, which is already your dominant dosha. So that was the one crucial common mistake to do. Is I've seen a lot of vata type personalities, go on intermittent fasting, they feel horrible, they lose more weight, and then they feel even more spacey, right? And one crucial Ayurvedic practice to implement for a vata dominant personality in terms of food is, make sure, in terms of food and external, is to oil the body, right? So you could do massages with oil, you could also use ghee on the soles of your feet, you could use oil in your, from head to toe, if you could just do oiling externally, and eating good amounts of fats, whether it's oils, whether it's ghee. And by oils, I don't mean the refined oils, I mean seed oils, or like actual seeds which contain oil. So pumpkin seeds, chia seed, flax seed, like fresh seeds that can contain oil, fresh avocados, so anything fatty to incorporate in your diet on a everyday basis is going to keep you more stable, is going to prevent that dryness, and it's also going to nourish your body more and support your joints as well, support your gut, and prevent issues related to gut as well as joints in the long term, right? Now when it comes to pitta type of a personality, they are having excessive heat. So one of the most crucial things for them to incorporate in their body is foods that are rich in water, right? So water pertains to emotions, and eating fruits like melons or vegetables like celery is something that's going to help support your body, because the more heat you have, the more you are going to dry out as well, and then that pitta quality is going to get sharper, right? So eating foods that are, water rich, melons, cucumbers, celery, they will not only balance the pitta, but that will also help you from an emotional aspect. One common thing to absolutely avoid for a pitta dominant personality is alcohol, right? Alcohol is a very fiery substance. So unless you have been given something by a practitioner, and even different practitioners, if they're giving you foods or tincture formed herbs, in my opinion those may not work the best for a pitta type personality. So avoiding alcohol as much as you can. Do not take over the counter herbs in their tincture form. You're better off taking powders or decoctions, because alcohol is going to irritate that lining, it's going to increase your heat. And because liver is also one organ that is always, overactivated for a pitta type, it may create issues with the liver too, and it will heat up your body. So number one thing, absolutely avoid alcohol. And one crucial practice to maintain for a pitta type personality is, like, this is more of an emotional practice, but this is to be able to learn to let go, right? Because there is so much anger, there can be so much aggression, there can be so much irritation, and learning to let go and building a good gratitude practice, having more of an emotional practice set up to help deal with all the irritations and frustrations of the day is going to be very crucial for a pitta type of personality. Now Jasmine is asking, is it okay for a vata person to have chia seeds? Most definitely. Soaking chia seeds in water or almond milk, or having them, rather than having them dry, just adding them to your salads, it's always good to soak those chia seeds, let them swell up a little bit, and then eat it. So that's going to be better for a Vata type of personality. Chia seeds are going to be perfect. They have good omega 3s, they have good fiber, but make sure that you're soaking those chia seeds. So that's kind of the key here. The last dosha I'm going to talk about is the Kapha dosha. So, Kapha personalities usually are always on the heavier side. So, they have broader bones, they have broader wrists, they have thick hair, pretty much wavy hair that's not very frizzy, rounder faces. The nose tip is usually like a button. So, I'm a classical, like if you look at my personality, I'm a classical Kapha Pitta. My appearance is quite kapha though, so darker eyes, darker colored hair. Absolutely hate having any kind of movement. All their hobbies are, sitting down, reading, cooking, absolutely love their food, love nurturing others. So that's a very classical kapha type of personality. When this kapha dosha, as I said, aggravates, you may have a lot of mucus buildup as well in the system. The system can get sluggish. All your, circulation will be sluggish. You may be cold because the circulation is not working as well. For a Vata type, the person is cold because again the circulation is not working well because of the dryness and the coldness. Here it's more because there is an excess stagnation, right? So, stagnation, water retention, hormonal issues are going to be very common for a kapha type of personality. And the one mistake that kapha type of people often do is they eat a lot and eat heavier foods, right? So I have seen kapha type personalities, somebody puts them on a diet plan where they are having 6 meals a day, and you are never going to lose weight like that because your agni, your digestive capacity is not the strongest. The more you eat, the more you are going to expend energy on digestion, and you already have a slightly weaker digestion, and then you end up eating a lot of excess. So that's the number one common mistake. So if you are really trying to lose or manage your weight, maximum 3 meals a day, not more than that. You can opt for 2 meals and a snack if necessary, or if you could stick to 2 meals, because your capacity to pick up nutrients from food is really good. Your body is already very nourished. You are typically not going to be deficient in any kind of vitamins or minerals. Kaphas are usually like sponges, they absorb a lot from their environment, from the food that they eat. So you are going to be healthy with 2 meals. Your digestion will work better, and you will be better at absorbing the nutrients from the food. One crucial Ayurvedic practice to implement for a kapha type of personality is movement. You have to move your body. There is absolutely no alternative to physical movement, exercising. Otherwise, you will have a lot of stagnation happen in the body. So, whether you choose to do dancing or walking or running or gardening or try cycling, any kind of activities that you enjoy, but they should not be sedentary, right? So try all the activities, outdoor activities. If nothing, just go for a walk and do some brisk walking every day. If you're looking at a yoga practice, Surya Namaskar works fantastic to activate that stagnant kapha, and it will also help you lose weight for kapha type of personalities, right? Another thing I was going to cover today was the meal time and digestion. So, for a Vata type of a personality, make sure you're having a good routine. You're eating at the same time. You're eating fixed quantities at fixed times. The more variation you have in your diet and lifestyle, the more your Vata has a tendency to aggravate. For a Pitta personality, making sure, as I said, that you could have 2 to 3 meals, or you could even have slightly add another snack if you're extremely hungry or into a lot of activities or athletics. So then you may need more of the nutrition, but making sure you're timing the food really well. And for Kapha type personality, again, as I said, 2 meals are going to be perfect because Vatas and Kaphas have a slightly slower digestion. Vatas, the Agni, is usually what we call Vishama, which means very erratic. Sometimes you're hungry, sometimes you're not. So a dietary routine works fantastic. Kaphas generally are very sluggish when it comes to digestion. So smaller quantities of food, making sure you're having low calorie options like lots of leafy greens, anything that's not going to bog you down. You can cook the greens, saute the greens, but having foods that are rich in fiber, not too heavy, are going to be the key. And for pittas, you are going to need substantial amounts of food, but dense foods, because your Agni is very strong. So you will, otherwise, you're going to be hungry constantly, right? So this is my little talk on understanding the Prakriti. So Prakriti again is the normal state of your body. It is determined on the basis of your genetics. It is determined on the basis of the environment of the womb at the time of the conception, the how the status of your, maternal environment, uterine environment, what your mother was eating at the time, you were um, in her womb. So all these factors determine the Prakriti. Your ancestors, your parents, your genetics determine your Prakriti as well. And in today's world, we are seeing a lot of Vata related Vikrutis. So we live in a Vata deranged world. So no matter what your dosha is, whether you're a Vata dominant, Pitta dominant, Kapha dominant, always make sure you're balancing your Vata dosh constantly. This is crucial for a Vata type because if you're dominant in Vata, your Vata dosh can get off balance very easily. So make sure you're constantly working to balance the dosha um, that is dominant in your body, but also make sure that your Vata dosh stays in balance at all times. If you are interested in learning more about your unique body type, you could schedule a 15-minute free consultation where we can discuss how we can work together and unlock your health for you using Ayurveda. If you are interested in my Prakriti Masterclass, the link is in the write up section as well. And in the 2 hour masterclass, I walk you through your dominant dosha, what are the functions of the dosha when it comes to different aspects, how do you get your characteristics, and what exactly should you be eating to balance your doshas. Thank you everyone for watching. I will be back next week for another Wellness Wednesday. Next session is going to be all about the wrong food combinations from an Ayurvedic perspective. So, what to combine, what not to combine is going to be the key for the next session. Thank you for watching, Jasmine. Thanks for being here live, showing me support. Thank you. Have a fantastic day. Bye for now.